In the 2023 NFL Draft, the SEC had 62 drafted players. I'm going to give you the top 25 going into 2024 right now. Let's go. What's happening, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Football Takeover's YouTube page. The top 25 2024 NFL draft prospects from the SEC and honorable mention. I'm your host, John Harris, footballtakeover.com, at jharrisfootball on Twitter. Go check out the website and my YouTube page at jharrisfootball. At jhfootballtakeover. Go check out the YouTube page, subscribe, go check out all the links, everything that's there. We've got some videos. I did one of Caleb Williams from probably about a week and a half ago. You can see my top 32 prospects from the 2024 NFL Draft, and figured, you know what, let's do the SEC tonight. The SEC always loves hearing about itself, right? Yes, you know an SEC fan, and they absolutely love talking about the SEC and what's great about the SEC. So 62 players drafted this past draft. I mean, that's an insane number. 62 of 256, about 25%, a little under 25%, 24% of the entire draft came from the SEC. Now, what's different this year about the SEC, I think, as opposed to last year, quarterbacks. You had Bryce Young, you had Hendon Hooker, Will Levis. You had high, top-notch quarterbacks. I don't think you have that in this particular class of the SEC. So let's dive in to what I'm going to call honorable mention. Now, again, because we're doing this, and I'm doing this in May. I'm May 17th, 2023. We're a long way off from the 2024 NFL Draft. We got a whole SEC season to go. We still have transfers. In fact, there's one player I wasn't sure what to do with. There are rumors about him going to the SEC, but he's transferring, so we don't know, so I left him out. But let's be honest. It's Keon Coleman from out of Michigan State. What happens with Keon Coleman? I don't know. He probably would be in the top 25, I think. It'd be very close if he transferred to Ole Miss, has been rumored, but that hasn't been cleared up as of the time of recording. So let's leave him out of it. But there are plenty of players that are going to be in the mix to be a top 25 NFL draft prospect for 2024. Now, keep in mind, this is the top 25 SEC 2024 draft prospects. So, no Harold Perkins. He probably would be number one on this list, but there is no Harold Perkins because he still has to play another 2 years, which is flat out scary. And we got to wait for a guy like that. But that dem's the rules, so we'll wait for Harold Perkins. So you're not going to hear his name. But what you are going to hear are draft prospects from pretty much all over the conference, if I'm being honest. So let's get to honorable mention. These are guys that were just on the outside looking into the top 25 in the conference. There were 4 players that I gave a lot of consideration to. I mean, really, really close. These were the closest ones. J.J. Pegues, interior defensive lineman from Ole Miss, 6'2", 315. Had a chance to see him at the Texas Bowl. I mean, you talk about athletic. That guy does a little bit of everything. Converted tight end while he was at Auburn, the defensive line. I think his game is a little bit more finesse and quickness than it is pure power, like a guy like Jalen Carter. And maybe that's probably why I've got him an honorable mention, but he's also going into his third year, so he's got still some football to play. This guy from Vanderbilt I love. Will Sheppard, 6'3", 200 pounds. Thick, kind of stout, all-around pass catcher. Had 60 catches for 776 yards and 9 touchdowns last year. I think he was top 7 in the conference in receiving. I think he is completely overshadowed, obviously, because Vanderbilt is not playing exceedingly well. But at the end of the year, when Vanderbilt was going very, very well, Sheppard was a big part of that. And I think he'll be a big factor as well. Will Sheppard from Vanderbilt. Dwight McLaughlin, Arkansas corner, transfer from over LSU. He's going to his 4th year. 6'2", 190, long, wiry, lean. I think he's got an opportunity to be in this top 25. A good year at 6'2", 190. And again, probably about 6'1", 185-ish. But that's still pretty good size, play corner in the NFL. So Dwight McLaughlin from Arkansas. And then the last one is a transfer to Alabama. That's CJ Dippre. I really wanted to put him in. I really did. A transfer from Maryland. I was watching a lot of Maryland games because of all Maryland's prospects going into the 2023 NFL draft. And they had some on offense, Jalen Duncan. They had some on defense, or 2 corners, Jacorian Bennett. Deonte Banks was a first-rounder. And I kept looking at 18 going, oh, boy, that guy's good. And it was about that time I was watching when I found out he had transferred to Alabama. So C.J. Dippre, honorable mention. A&M's got a few guys. Their interior guys, their defensive line guys. Whew. McKinley Jackson, 6'2", 325. Shamar Turner, 6'4", 300. And also Fadil Diggs. Diggs is the one to me that has the highest upside right now. I think he can really be a guy off the edge of 6'5", 260. I think they really missed him when he went down last year. So A&M's got a few, and then you got a few more. Adrian Cooper, linebacker. Damani Richardson, safety. And then young Moose Muhammad, whether he's wearing arm sleeves or not. Moose Muhammad, I think, obviously the namesake of Musa Muhammad, who played for the Panthers, played very, very well in the NFL for a long time. A&M's got some serious NFL draftable talent this year. Now, what does Jimbo Fisher and company do with them? We'll find out very, very quickly. LSU got a transfer. Linebacker Omar Spates from out of Oregon State. He was all Pac-12, transferred to LSU. I think he probably steps right into Mika Baskerville's position there at LSU. He's going to be definitely fun to watch. At South Carolina, wide receiver Antoine Juice Wells. Here's what keeps, to me, Wells from being a top 25 prospect in the SEC right now. I think he lacks some top-end speed. The transfer from James Madison made all kinds of plays over the last 2-3 games of the year. I mean, his rise really coincided with Spencer Rattler's play going up and South Carolina just in general going up. So there's a part of me that looks at Wells and thinks of Juwan Jennings, who played for Tennessee. SEC fans know him, who's played out with the 49ers now, and he's probably the best number 3 wide receiver in the league. And he's tough. He's not very fast. And he was drafted in the 7th round, I believe. And he just kept impressing with his competitiveness, ball skills, and that's what I think Wells has. Just outside the top 25. Javon Foster from Missouri, offensive tackle, long, a little stiff, but big, brute left tackle for Missouri. Ishim Young, I loved at Iowa State, transferred to Ole Miss. With Ole Miss secondary going through some transformation, I think Young's going to play a huge, huge role. Obviously, the champs have got plenty of players. I don't know whether we want to start here or end here, but running back Kendall Milton, cornerback Kamari Lassiter, Ladd McConkey, who I think is as fast as any player in college football, and then Tate Ratledge, who plays guard for Georgia. Those guys, I think, all have a great chance to get into the top 25 at some point. Milton's finally going to have the opportunity to run a rock this year. Now, obviously, Georgia, over the past few years, what we've seen in that offense, shared carries. Now, Todd Monken's no longer the OC, so we'll see how that impacts Kendall Milton, but he's got NFL skill set for sure. And I think he might be, of the backs that Georgia's put in the draft lately, Zamir White, Kenny McIntosh, I think Milton might be the most talented of the bunch. So we'll put Kendall Milton there. Then you got a group of quarterbacks in the SEC, 2 in Mississippi. One at Ole Miss, one at Mississippi State. That's Jackson Dart at Ole Miss, fighting off Spencer Sanders, who transferred from Oklahoma State. Then you've got Will Rogers at Mississippi State learning a new offense. Unfortunately, we lost the Jolly Old Pirate, Mike Leach, RIP coach. And so he's getting a new offense there at Mississippi State, so we'll see how he adapts to that. But then you got 2 guys that transferred. You got Joe Milton III at Tennessee, transferred from Michigan a couple of years ago. Started off having the job, and then Henry Hooker got the job and then didn't give it up until he got hurt. Milton came in, looked, I thought, excellent in the game against Clemson. He's got that big arm. I mean, wind that sucker up and let that ham cannon throw because Joe Milton can sling it. But his all-around quarterback acumen's got to improve. Devin Leary left NC State. He is the 4th of that group. He left NC State due to an injury, and then there was some movement there, and they felt like they could move on, and Leary said, you know what, let me go to Kentucky. And I think that's going to be a good spot for him, to be honest. He's got 2 stud sophomore receivers, Barryon Brown and Dan Key. So Leary's got an opportunity. I mean, he's got kind of a Jake Haener-like game. If you know Jake Haener, New Orleans Saints, played Fresno State. He's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. Honorable mention. Then DeCamerion Richardson, Mississippi State. The Bulldogs are revamping that entire secondary. Lost Emmanuel Forbes to the NFL draft. That's a big loss. Richardson, I think, is going to hold it down on the other side. 6'2", 195, much bigger than Forbes. So if Richardson plays at that level, I think it's going to be really, really fun to watch. Mississippi State corner, DeCamerion Richardson. Bo Limmer, guard from Arkansas. And look, guards aren't real sexy, but Limmer could be. He very well could be. I mean, playing next to Ricky Stromberg last year, I thought Limmer was very, very good. Makai Wingo, LSU, built oddly. 6'1", 295. He's a powder keg. But we've seen in the NFL, they don't shy away from the shorter, stronger, stouter players. I mean, Ed Oliver, Aaron Donald, this past year with Kalijah Cansey. They don't mind those kind of guys because they win leverage battles, and they are just so difficult to block. And then two guys, one actually, I thought he was going to be in the draft, and I kept looking for him during the draft. It's Trayvon Flowers from Tennessee. He's going back for another year, and I think that's a great thing. I think he's going to end up being a ball hawk, smart, high football IQ guy for Tennessee. And then Ennis Rakestraw was probably one of the last guys to be not included in the 25. And there's a very good chance that Rakestraw could end up getting in the Harris 100 when I unveil that later this month. There probably of these honorable mention guys, there could be a few that end up in the Harris 100. As I said earlier, 62 players of 259 drafted, so about 24%. And it probably works out that there are going to be about 27, 28 SEC players in my Harris 100 when it's all said and done. So, are we ready? Let's get to the top 25 and start 25, where there's a tie. You know why there's a tie? Because A, it's my list, and B, because, well, I couldn't decide between these two, and I didn't want to really remove either one of them. So the tie is between two ball-carrying dynamos. It starts with running back, kick returner, Jarquez Hunter from Auburn, 5'10", 202, powder keg. I love watching him run the football. I think if he has finally made the focal point of the Auburn running game, he is going to be really difficult to stop. And he is in a tie with Weapon X, running back, wide receiver, combo extraordinaire, Anais Smith from Texas A&M, 5'10", 200 pounds. He just has to stay healthy. That's really what it is about Smith. But he has got an NFL game that I think can be taken to a different level once he does get to the NFL. But how Bobby Petrino and Jimbo Fisher use Agent Zero, Sub-Zero, whatever you want to call him, Anais Smith, it was great getting him back at A&M. He kind of investigated the NFL waters, but decided he was going back to A&M. So 25, a tie, Jarquez Hunter from Auburn, Anais Smith from Texas A&M. Number 24, and this one was kind of hard because I realized, man, am I lower on the receivers in the conference than I should be? Because 24 and 23 are both receivers. Malik Nabers comes in at number 24 from LSU. And the more I kept thinking about LSU wide receivers, I don't know that they weren't a disappointment last year. I mean, maybe I'm kind of looking at Kayshon Boutte and thinking, Boutte was I don't want to say a major disappointment. He's a disappointment. Nabers picked up the slack for that LSU passing game. At 6'1", 195, I think he's good size to be able to play inside and out. I mean, that's essentially the size that Jackson Smith and Jigba was at Ohio State. I think JSN may have been 6'1", but either way, Nabers can play inside, he can play outside. I think LSU's offense gets a serious kickstart when number 8 gets the football. So I'm going to put Malik Nabers at number 24. Number 23, it's another receiver, but it's a receiver who played in the SEC the first 2 years. He will continue in the SEC, but play for a different team, and that's Dominic Lovett from out of Georgia. I have to make sure I say that a few times because I want to keep saying Missouri, but he transferred to Georgia for 2023. I mean, it's the last thing that anybody in the SEC wanted to see was Georgia with, more talent, if you will. That's my dog right here. Say hi, Ellie. All right. But Dominic Lovett, slot receiver extraordinaire, quick, dynamic. I mean, everything you want in a slot receiver. But I think Georgia's going to find ways to get him the football. And with Lovett and McConkey on the field together, ooh, boy, that's going to get really fun. So Dominic Lovett comes in at number 23. Number 22, our first quarterback. I've got 2. I think I've got 2. I'm pretty sure I've got 2. Now I'm doing a quick mental check. Yeah, I think it's 2. This is he's the second, obviously, coming in at number 22. And that's Jayden Daniels from out of LSU, 6'3", 185. I wasn't sure what we were going to get from Jayden Daniels in 2022 when he transferred to LSU. I just not sure because it was kind of a roller coaster at Arizona State. But I felt like the roller coaster kind of leveled off a little bit. He quit running as much like he did in the beginning of the year. Man, he was running the football a lot. Now, he still has got that club in his bag, if you will. But I think Jayden Daniels threw the ball a little bit better. And if Nabers' game is at a pretty high level, he's got sophomore Maason Taylor. I think Daniels has got NFL components in his game. He's just thin. I mean, he's thin. But we just saw the number 1 overall pick in the draft be a 5'10" in the 8th, 195-pound quarterback from Alabama. So, anything can happen with Jayden Daniels, but he needs another solid season in 2023. I think the offensive line's got some returning pieces to help him, but he's got Nabers, Taylor. I think he's going to end up being a guy that LSU fans are going to really like. So let's go Jayden Daniels at number 22. 21 is roll the dice. 6'8", 330-pound right tackle Reuben Fatheree from out of Texas A&M. Now, he's from my neck of the woods. He went to Foster High School in Richmond, Texas. I felt like as a true freshman in 2021, Fatheree was, I don't want to say, top notch. I thought he was really good in 2021. And I remember seeing him after Pro Day in 2022. And I was like, in 2 years, how big fella? And he's like, that's the plan. Well, the plan cannot be to play like 2022. Because he was not as good. But traits, he's got some nasty. He's got long arms. He's got size. He wants to finish in the run game. And obviously he comes from a great football city like Richmond, Texas, where I am from. But he's got to make that leap. He's got to make that leap. Reuben Fatheree comes in at number 21. Number 20 is a guy that I actually like more than Brian Branch back a couple years ago. In fact, I thought that Malachi Moore from out of Alabama would be a higher drafted prospect than Brian Branch. But Malachi couldn't stay healthy. Just couldn't stay healthy. His freshman year in 2020, he was outstanding. Then the injuries hit at the end of the year. Branch took over and really never gave the job back of the do-it-all chess piece for Alabama. So Malachi Moore comes in at number 20, the nickel/safety corner. He can play anywhere, and I think that's part of the reason why he ends up being in the top 20. And I think if he's healthy, there's a good chance he moves up into the top 15, at least in the SEC for sure. Number 19 is a transfer. And in 2020, when he left high school early or he didn't finish his senior year, he reclassified. That's the word I'm looking for. Tony Grimes now plays at Texas A&M. Thick. I was watching him yesterday against Notre Dame, and I had him here. I think I had him maybe a little bit lower. I watched him against Notre Dame, and I'm like, man, he's fun to watch. Long arms, can run, press coverage without being handsy and physical. I think A&M's got a really good one. Now, how he fits into DJ Durkin's defense, we'll find out. But natural talent, ability, football IQ, Tony Grimes has got that going into his 4th year from Texas A&M, the transfer from North Carolina. Now, we stay with A&M. Listen, I've been saying this for a while about A&M. The talent is there. The talent means nothing, absolutely zero, if Jimbo coaches like he did in 2022. Bryce Foster, center, Texas A&M. Now, here's one of the reasons why they struggled so much last year, because Bryce Foster was not healthy. But he is a bench pressing fool. He is strong as an ox. He is the perfect fit for a center. Great size, 6'5", 325. I think he's gotten accustomed to playing center after having played tackle in high school at Taylor High School in Katy. But he's probably the best center or the second best. In this, he ends up being second best, but we'll see. But A&M's issue last year was their inability to stay healthy. And in not staying healthy, Foster was a big part of that. Fatheree was also not healthy for a full season. If you get these guys healthy for a full season, then there's no telling what A&M's offense can do. He is just the second of 3 A&M linemen in the top 25. So there's one more. And that guy I really love. But we'll get to him later on. Number 18, center Bryce Foster, Texas A&M. 17, I mentioned Ennis Rakestraw from Missouri, corner a little while ago. But I think the better player, better prospect from Missouri is Kris Abrams Draine from out of Mobile, Alabama. Came to Missouri as a receiver, and he kind of looks it. He's 5'11", 178. He played receiver in 2020. Then he moved over to the defensive side of the ball, and he led the team with interceptions with 3 in 2021. Elite ball skills, great feet. He is what you want. He's just 178 pounds. But then again, Emmanuel Forbes showed you can have ball skills, you can have speed, and you can go in the top 16 even if you're 166 pounds. So I'm not going to sweat 178 right now. But Kris Abrams Draine is a very fun player to watch from Missouri. Number 16, the Rocket from out of Rockledge, Florida. That's right. Arkansas running back Raheim the Rocket Sanders. 6'2", 227. I know there's probably some going, wait a second, that's way too low for Sanders, right? Again, you got to think like NFL teams do. They don't always value running backs. In fact, in this last one, Jahmyr Gibbs was lucky to get into – I should say lucky. He went in the first round, but a lot of that had to do with the fact that he had receiving skills. He has great receiving skills. Sanders, I think he's great in the screen game. But 6'2", 227, big, fast, tough, versatile. I mean, that's pretty much tells the story of the Arkansas running back. He's going to probably have to carry that offense a little bit, and alongside KJ Jefferson, who I should have mentioned in honorable mention. KJ is also a guy that is going to be kind of bumping his head up on this top 25 and potentially could get in the Harris 100. But Raheim Sanders, the Rocket, is definitely one of the top running backs in the country. He comes in at number 16. Number 15 is that third A&M offensive lineman. In fact, if you reverse it, he's the first on the list. I already mentioned Reuben Fatheree at right tackle. Mentioned Bryce Foster at center. And now I mentioned Layden Robinson, the guard who I think could be he could be a first rounder. From Manville, Texas. Manville's had a ton of athletes, a ton of prospects come out of that place for a long time. Robinson might be the best that's come out of there. 6'4", 320. My player comp for him has been for a couple of years, Nate Davis, who signed a free agent deal this offseason with the Bears. Robinson is stout, he's strong, he can move, but he even said, I'm going back to A&M because I did not play at my highest level in 2022. As a result, I am going back to A&M, and I think that ends up being a great decision. Let's get back to it at number 14. I believe that's the number we're on here. Yeah, number 14. One of my favorites. I could watch this guy play football all day long. Linebacker, Tennessee, Aaron Beasley, 6'1", 225. And, if you're an old head, you're like, 225, can't play in the NFL, 225. Man, the game has changed. He can run, he can blitz, he can cover. He's got great instincts. I absolutely love Aaron Beasley. Smooth and explosive to the ball. I just love everything about him. His agility is great. Understands how to work the chaos as an inside linebacker. 6'1", 225. You might think, a little shade too small. Nah, he's fine. Aaron Beasley comes in at number 14. Number 13. Okay, here we go. Princely Umanmielen from out of Florida. And I swear to you, I've practiced that all day. I'm still going to get it wrong. Princely Umanmielen, Florida, 6'4", 245. What stood out to me most about him was his first step off the ball. I don't know that I've seen a guy with a first step like that. Now, he comes from a family of a lot of college football players. He might be the best. A Texan, he's got a ton of burst explosiveness off the edge. His game has got around into shape, and you might think that's a little high. Florida, to me, doesn't have a ton of NFL draftable talent, but they've got one. That guy, Princely Umanmielen from out of Florida, comes at 13. Number 12, I think he's the best center in the SEC. I think he's the best center in the country. I think he's the highest center I have rated. And that's Sedrick Van Pran from out of Georgia, 6'4", 310. Easton High School in New Orleans, Louisiana. I believe he was probably one of the guys featured on QB1 a few years ago when they were following Lance Lejeune, quarterback there. But Van Pran, I thought he would have been center number 1 or 2 had he declared for the 2023 NFL draft. He goes back, long arms, excellent guy in the middle to have in every scheme. Sedrick Van Pran, 12th from the University of Georgia. Sticking with Georgia at number 11. And I'm not totally sure where I'm going to play this guy, but I know he's going to end up in my secondary somewhere. It's Javon Bullard from out of Georgia. Cornerback, nickel, going to his third year, 5'11", 180 pounds. I felt like in 2022 with a secondary that needed some work going into the year, I felt like the 2022 secondary was as good as the 2021 secondary was. And a large part of that was Javon Bullard. I think he can play anywhere on the field. I think he's a game changer. I think he's a playmaker. I think he's a play creator as well. I think he is the perfect guy for that Georgia secondary, and he'll be a great pick for the Philadelphia Eagles in 2024. All right, let's get to number 10. And this is probably my most controversial one because I'm rolling the dice a little bit, and I've done it probably the last few years. Number 10, quarterback, South Carolina, Spencer Rattler. Now, before you lose your mind, he's got NFL skills. You can't argue that. He throws the ball as well as any quarterback in this draft class. You can't argue that. You also can't argue with the fact that there have been maturity issues. There's a transfer. There were issues at Oklahoma. All those kind of things have all followed Spencer Rattler. You can't argue with inconsistent play. Beginning of the year, there'd be a great throw, there'd be a bad throw. There'd be a great throw, there'd be a bad throw. Like, get me off the roller coaster, Spencer, please. But then the last couple of games of the year, he started showing you what he can be. And that's what this is. This is what he can be. Now, another year in South Carolina's offense. He's still got weapons. Juice Wells, we know he's got now. He loses Jaheim Bell to Florida State and Marshawn Lloyd to the other USC. But Rattler's got to be that guy. I think he's got the NFL talent to do it. But has he fully matured? Is he completely the leader that we saw at the end of last year for South Carolina? Or is he going to revert to bad habits? It's kind of why he's at 10. If he answers all of those in the positive, he might be number 1 or number 2 because teams will be flocking. I know the NFL scouts are going to look at him. Boy, they're going to go through everything because they're going to love the on-field talent. Love it. Everything else is going to be a question mark. Spencer Rattler is the only one that can answer those question marks in the 2023 season. So I'm putting Spencer Rattler at number 10, his top-ranked quarterback, draft prospect-wise, in the SEC. All right, we go back as we get to number 9, single digits here for big number 78 from Georgia, Nazir Stackhouse. He's one of my favorites to watch. And I think he follows kind of the Jalen Carter road that Jalen Carter took. Jalen in 2021, you had Devontae Wyatt, you had Jordan Davis. But Jalen Carter might be better than those guys. It wasn't quite like that, but Jalen Carter got all the run last year, correct? Well, I think Stackhouse gets it. 320 pounds, can move, strong. I mean, he doesn't look fat at all. Like I saw him the first time, I thought he was 280. No, it said 320. It's about Stone Mountain, Georgia. I think he can be a real problem on the inside. Those are the kind of players the NFL is looking for. 6'3", 320 with strength, can move. Stackhouse is definitely a top 10 SEC draft prospect for 2024. Speaking of interior players, number 8, Maason Smith from LSU. When I saw him as a freshman, I thought, my God, take my breath away. Maason Smith, the zero. Now, banged up last year, missed the season. That's my hesitation is how does he come back and what does he look like as a player when he does come back? I felt like as a freshman he was going to be a top 15 pick at some point. I'm not totally sure where he is, and so I'll probably kind of split the middle of where he could be and where he might end up if he's not all the way back. But Maason Smith, he's in his third year, so if things don't go well, you go back. You try and improve your draft stock. Maason Smith from LSU comes in number 8. Number 7 is one of my favorite receivers in this class and many other classes, and that's Bru McCoy. Big 6'3", 221. Played at Mater Dei. He was Bryce Young's favorite receiver while Bryce was in high school. McCoy moved around, Texas, USC. Finally found a home with the real UT. I could say that, Longhorn fans. With the Tennessee Volunteers. And last year when Sedrick Tillman got banged up, I think it was McCoy who stepped into that big receiver void. But I think McCoy's got more twitch than Sedrick Tillman did. And I thought Sedrick Tillman going into 2022 was a back-end first rounder. Now he ended up going into early third or late second. I think McCoy can be that and then some. So I got McCoy at number 7, 6'3", 221-pound Tennessee Volunteer wide receiver. Number 15, Bru McCoy. At number 7 on my top prospects in the SEC list. Number 6, Amarius Mims, Georgia, 6'7", 330. Now, he was not a full-time, every-down starter for Georgia, but he's got every asset you want in an offensive tackle. In fact, he might have more assets than Broderick Jones had, who just got drafted number 14 in the 2023 NFL draft. I think he, with that length, playing a tackle position, obviously Georgia loses both of them with Broderick Jones and Warren McClendon, so Mims is going to play one of them, and if he plays where at that level I think he can play, then he might be too low at number 6. But he's number 6 going to his third year at the University of Georgia. Number 5, another Bulldog, and I think he and his teammate Shmuel Munden Jr. are, and Shmuel, I hope I'm saying that right, I think Jamon Dumas-Johnson from Georgia is one of the top linebackers in the country, much less the SEC. Got him at number 5. Coming out of St. Francis Academy in Baltimore, where he played with a lot of dudes. Chris Braswell, who's at Alabama. He played with Blake Corum, who's at Michigan. I mean, they had a squad. And I love the way this guy plays. And at 6'1", 245, it's getting to a point, like I said earlier, with linebackers, you don't see guys that are, 240 plus. But when you find a guy that's got instincts and can run and can deliver and cover, well, that guy's going to have a future in NFL, and I think that Dumas-Johnson definitely does that. And depending on Munden Jr., I mean, there's just a difference in a guy's 230 versus a guy's 245. But Munden might find his way on this list at the end of the year. He's kind of I'm watching closely. But I think number 10, Jamon Dumas-Johnson, is one heck of a football player at number 5. Number 4, Dallas Turner, Alabama. Now, I felt like 2 years ago Turner would probably be number 1 or 2. But I don't think he had the 2022 season that he expected. Now, Alabama fans would probably like to say that was a lot of Pete Golding and go from there. But just watching Turner, he's asked to do a lot. He's asked to play like a true outside linebacker, and that's fine. But I think his skill really comes through when he gets an opportunity to rush the quarterback. Now, his whole pass rush repertoire has got to kind of round into shape. But I think in the third year at Alabama, I think there's an opportunity to do that. 242 pounds, there'll be some question about his size. There was about Will Anderson. But I think Turner's big enough, and I think he's the prototypical 3-4 outside linebacker. But he's got to open his game up a little bit. There's got to be more explosive, game-changing plays, not just picking up a fumble against Tennessee. He's got to create those game-changing plays. That will move him up the list. But right now he's at number 4 amongst the SEC prospects. Number 3, 3, 2, and 1, I felt like were pretty easy. It was just a matter of 2 and 3 to have in the right order. Number 3, cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama. 6'1", 195. I think he's a better prospect than any corner prospect that was in last year's draft. Any of them. Deonte Banks, Christian Gonzalez, who I liked. I did not care for Devin Witherspoon all that much. McKinstry, I think, is better than all of them. When he comes to number 3 in the SEC, he is magnificent with his press man footwork. When he gets the ball on punt returns, he is electric. Kool-Aid McKinstry, it's a fun name to say, but he is one whale of players. Number 3 prospect in the SEC, draft prospect in the SEC. Number 2 is also from Alabama, and oh boy, do I love this guy. Offensive tackle J.C. Latham. He's originally from Wisconsin. He played at IMG Academy. I love him. His game it reminds me a little bit of Evan Neal, in that it's like economy of movement. He doesn't have to move all that much, and he never seems to panic. But he can move. He can just absolutely hammer guys and finish in the run game. He's got a nasty demeanor. He's got plenty of length, a lot of power. His pass pro, I felt like, improved throughout the year. He's got to be a rock star in this Alabama offensive line for whoever plays quarterback. J.C. Latham comes in at number 2, and that leaves at number 1 from the very first play of his college career as a true freshman in Charlotte against Clemson. Georgia threw the ball to Brock Bowers, and they've been throwing it to him ever since. 6'4", 230. I think he's bigger than that. That's what Georgia has, man. I think he's like 235, 240. He's got incredible acrobatic ball skills. You have to treat him like a wide receiver when he's flexed out. As a Y or an attached tight end, he is physical. He's willing. I don't know that his blocking is perfect. He's not going to stand up, big old 6 techniques. But he is going to be effective enough in the run game that you can keep him on the field all 3 downs. He's one of the best pass-catching tight ends that we've seen in quite some time. I think Brock Bowers from Georgia in his third year He is the exact type of player the NFL wants at that position. Willing to block, lines up all over the formation, creates mismatches wherever he lines up. At number 1, it's Brock Bowers from the University of Georgia. All right, there you go. There's your top 25 draft prospects and a few honorable mention candidates going into the 2023 season. I can't wait to see how that changes because it's not going to end up like that. But it is going to be fun to watch in the SEC. I'm going to be working on my SEC preview. Hopefully have that ready to go by the end of June. Analyzing everything going on in the SEC this year. But these are the draft prospects, and obviously the draft tugs at my heartstrings, so I figured we looked at those players in particular. So if you just picked this up in the middle somewhere and you're like, where's Harold Perkins? Where's this guy? No, it's draft prospects. That's what we're looking at. So appreciate you. Hopefully you will like, share, subscribe. And I know there's one more thing I'm supposed to tell you to do. But either way, at JH Football Takeover on YouTube. Keep coming back. I drop this at 9 o'clock on Wednesday, and that's my goal, to at least have one big video for you Wednesday and then kind of film in with other aspects, other videos, kind of appetizers and snacks throughout the week. And this is the big entree. So hopefully you liked that entree. You can check out my Caleb Williams video I did a couple weeks ago, and there'll be plenty more coming from me, John Harris from Football Takeover. And with that, signing off. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time from Football Takeover. I'm John Harris. Good night.